You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW-LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC-LP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Trick or treat, Lone Star Radio listeners. This is Dick, the general manager, taking this quick moment to remind you that Lone Star Community Radio is looking to fill some of our talk show slots along with some of our DJ slots. We have a new show airing on the 10th, Making Connections with Stacey Harris, which will air every second Tuesday of the month at 1 p.m. Make sure to check it out along with our other programs on Lone Star Community Radio. For more information on Lone Star Community Radio, visit us online at irlonestar.com. And again, if you're interested in doing something with us, call the station, 936-647-3776. Thanks for checking out this recording, and I hope you guys enjoy.
.com. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is a Wednesday. It is 1 p.m. and you are listening to Jake from Sports Talk. I'm your host, Jake LaFleur, and I'm happy to have you in for another week and another episode of Jake from Sports Talk. As always, we broadcast live from the IR Lone Star Studios in downtown beautiful Conroe, Texas. You can listen to this show live every Wednesday from 1 p.m. to 2 on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and worldwide on irlonestar.com. How you doing this morning, Dick? Or this afternoon, Dick? Oh, that good. That good.
Doing good. Excited about today's topics. Going to be listening in.
Oh, yeah?
Because I have to.
You have to.
I enjoy it. Every Wednesday, folks, at 1 p.m.
You know, you're the greatest Dick I know.
Yep.
Well, as I said, thank you for joining in. Glad to have you in. Get involved with the show by subscribing to the show's Facebook page and sending me a message there. Ask me questions, tell me you love me, or send me your arguments and tell me why you think I'm wrong. If you ever missed an episode or want to check out a past episode, you can catch up on all things Jake from Sports Talk on Google Play, iTunes, or YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe so that way you get notifications every time I do something amazing. And you can be the first to share it with your friends and family. You share everything I do, right?
Yes.
Everything. Constantly. You just love me so much. What are you going to do next week without me here?
You're not going away.
Well, not the show.
Yeah, so...
This great show will never leave.
Yeah. If anything, it's going to improve because the time not spent makes me want to spend more time. So the time we do spend, the value goes up.
Oh.
So there you go.
Oh. I'm going to cry. I love you, Dick.
Or we should fight like the Ducks and the Flyers do.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yes. If you guys get a chance to go see that Superman punch, that what was his name? I've got it written down right here. Oh gosh. Yeah, okay, yeah. The Baker of the Ducks and Gouda of the Flyers fought on, I guess it wasn't last night. I thought it was last night.
Yeah, that's why it was 2 days ago.
It was 2 days ago. It was on Monday. So, but no, it was one of the best fights I've seen in a long time. It wasn't necessarily like a long rock'em sock'em robot sort of fight, but it was just one of those classic, I'm going to knock the bleep out of you, and he did it. And if you know what a Superman punch is, it's kind of like this, full body lunge at the opponent.
I would say it's not like a full-on Superman.
Okay.
I think he did have one skate off the ground. I don't think both feet were off the ground.
Try to do that on ice skates. Try to do a full Superman punch on ice skates.
Well, then don't call it a Superman punch.
Okay, a super mini punch?
He just punched the dude.
Nah, because he got a launch into
the question is, if he didn't hit Gouda, where was his body going? Would you think he would have fallen over?
Yeah, he would have been down.
So he went for all the bacon.
I think he would have if he had not landed it, counterbalancing his momentum. I think he would have been down face first on the ice, and then Gouda would have been on top of him.
And if you watch it closely, I think he actually prevents Gouda from hitting his head on the ice.
How so?
He pulls him up before he...
Oh, well, yeah, because in the middle of the punch, or before the punch is delivered, he, grabs the front of the jersey and almost, holds him still.
Wanted to prevent himself from hitting his head. Because it's okay to hit somebody in the front of the face,
But hitting your head on the ice, I mean, you just don't let a brother do that, you know?
Nope.
That's why I love hockey.
It's great.
I mean, there's some sportsmanship.
I'll beat the snot out of you, but I promise you won't go home with a concussion.
Yeah.
At least not from the ice. Oh man, yeah. It was. If you get a chance to go check out that video, go check it out. That was always great. So, all right, let's get started here. Let's get down to business, nitty gritty stuff. I stole that from the morning show, the nitty gritty. I really like that. If you want to listen to Dick's morning talk show, Mornings with Lone Star, the nitty gritty talk block hour from 10 to 11. But yeah, we got World Series baseball starting up last night, and we're going to talk about that in the second segment, along with the NFL's biggest struggle is not coming from a knee. The ratings issues aren't coming from a knee. The biggest struggle is, well, you'll have to tune in the third segment to find out. Ayo, teaser right there. That was beautiful, Jake. Wonderfully done. And then we're going to talk about something that a lot of people in this country struggle with. A lot of people. And many of you have experience with that struggle. I have no experience with that struggle, but I'm still going to talk about that struggle as though I have experience with that struggle, and I'm going to tell you why I'm right. And that struggle is parenting. We're going to talk about parenting in the fourth segment. So stay tuned for that as well. But as always, let's get started like we do every week on this wonderful show with a week in a wrap here on Jake from Sports Talk. Get it out! Get it on! All right, let's go. Obviously, big news. Game one of the World Series started. World Series started last night. Game one, we had Dodgers at home against the Astros. Great pitching matchup with Keuchel on the mound for the Astros, and Kershaw, which is not the can't pitch in big game Kershaw anymore. Apparently, he's moved on from that, which is good for him. Keuchel went 6 2/3, gave up 3 runs, 2 home runs. Was a solo shot and then a 2-run shot. That was how the 3 runs got scored for them. And then Kershaw went 7 innings with 11 Ks and only gave up 1 run on a Bregman homer in the 4th inning. And we'll talk a little bit more of that. We'll go into full detail into that and the upcoming series, who I think is going to win, everything like that, coming up in the next segment. Basketball news. Markelle Fultz, poor Philadelphia 76ers. That team just can't stay healthy. I don't know what it is about that team, about that organization. I think they're playing on styrofoam courts or something. Every time if you get drafted by them and you're a rookie, I would just go ahead and put yourself on the injured reserve list right away. So, but their point guard, Markelle Fultz, goes down. He'll miss the next 3 games with a shoulder injury. Nothing. He'll be reevaluated on Tuesday of next week. So nothing overly shocking. Nothing like standing out as far as he's going to miss significant time. They're saying this injury is more of a tweak, and they're just preventative measures. They're putting him on the, to bring it over to baseball news, it'd be like putting him on the 7-day DL list. So, but overall, you got to look at the sticking with the process 76ers and everything that they've done. They've built up over the last, 10 years now. It seems like. You've got Joel Embiid and you got Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz through the first 2 games was playing fine. He got injured in the 3rd game, but he was playing fine as expected through the first 2 games. But the 2 big ones, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, have looked really good, really strong to start out the season here through 4 games now. And that was highlighted by Monday night's win over the Detroit Pistons, with Simmons putting up his first career triple-double. It's exciting for him. He's an LSU boy. Glad to see, doing something in the NBA after sitting out a whole year last year. And then Joel, putting up 30, strong presence in the paint. He's your old school kind of big, and you don't see that trend where the NBA is going away from that traditional big man in the middle. And so to see, I hope he does well. I hope he can kind of develop himself into a Marc Gasol or not even Marc Gasol. Actually, Marc Gasol. Out of the Gasol brothers, I think he's the better of the 2. Powell gets a lot of the love, but I think Mark is the more modern age big. So hopefully he can bring himself into that. Also, Dick, did you see Steph Curry throwing his mouthpiece at the ref and then Kevin Durant flicking off the opposing bench but saying he was just pointing at his ring?
Is it all happen in one
no,
play?
it was literally one play. Like the foul.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up. It's good. The foul. So Curry was wanting a call essentially to go against the defense when he was driving to the hole, and he didn't get what he wanted, and instead they called an offensive foul. And Curry was really upset about this, and so he takes his mouthpiece out that he constantly annoyingly chews on, and I hope he never chokes on that thing, but slightly deep inside, I really don't like the fact that he chews on that like an annoying 2-year-old brat. But he, this is not the first time he's thrown that mouthpiece. He threw it in the Game 5 of the playoffs 2 years ago when, again, he didn't get his way. He got all frustrated, all mad, and got all pouty, and he throws that mouthpiece. Well, he threw the mouthpiece in the direction, according in his words, quotations right there, in the direction of the official. But he was not throwing it at the official. He said, I've got better aim than that. Meaning if he was throwing it at the official, he would have hit the official squarely in the face. And I do agree with that. I think it was more of an anger thing, and he was like just throwing the mouthpiece. But then not in response, but in defiant act going along and supporting his teammate, Kevin Durant is jogging down the court to the opposite end, and his middle finger, is just straight up in the air at the opposing bench. And he was, saying that he was pointing at his rings and his new championship ring that he, selfishly left OKC to go get because, that old adage, right? If you can't beat them, join them. Well, yeah, Kevin Durant took that to the ultimate max level and joined them and got his ring. And so he was showing off that pretty new ring to the opposing bench with the middle finger sticking up. Funny, though, Durant did not get a fine for that, but Curry got a fine for his action. So I think it just had something to do with the actual official. So, but it's a funny situation when you've got the Warriors and you look at their kind of game plan for the entire year for the entire, since the last 3 years since this group's been together, it's been Draymond Green who's been the crotch kicker and the troublemaker and all that good stuff. To see these two acting out, it's like watching your good kids just be influenced by that one bad kid and just starting to act up. And it's like, oh no, I hope I don't end up with 3 Devils. We're heading down that way. And I think these guys just know how good they really are as a unit. And so they don't like when things don't go their way. And by all, in defense of Curry, and I don't defend Curry very often because I really don't like him personally, but in defense of Curry, I've got to say it was not an offensive foul. If anything, it was a no call. But still, and I myself have a rough past with referees and officials and keeping my mouth shut and not telling them exactly what I think or feel about how stupid they are. But so I guess I relate to Curry in that fashion, but still, you're at the professional level, you're paid to be an adult essentially and not act like a over pompous, overconfident 17-year-old high school player, which, we all were at one point in time, and we may have told an official or two that we didn't care for them. And, yeah, if there's any officials out there that I've offended in my past, I really am sorry. I really am. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's talk on hockey stuff. So we already talked about the awesome fight. If you get a chance, go check out the Superman punch. I think it was a Superman punch. Dick's calling it a mini Superman, a tiny Superman, but it was still a Superman. One skate at least left the ice, so I'm calling it a Superman. But Nikola Kucherov for the Lightning had just got his 11th goal of the season, and the Lightning are just on this unbelievable tear. But Kucherov got the 11th goal, takes the lead for most goals in this young season. I know it's very new, but it's a reason to bring up hockey, and it's a reason to talk about the Lightning. Lightning they beat Pittsburgh Saturday night 7-1. This team looks really good starting out this year. And they're going to be the one that gives Pittsburgh, I think, the run for their money here as the season goes on and continues. And like I said, we're in a very young season, and there's still a lot of teams kind of figuring themselves out. We got a lot of young stars in this league that, haven't gotten off to a hot start in 2017. But I think once the calendar turns, and I think once we hit 2018, I think you're going to see a lot of these young kids get going. And I think you look at the future of hockey over the next 5 years, 6 years, it's going to be we got an exciting future ahead of us, no, Dick? What do you think about the future? He's shaking his head. He doesn't want to go on the mic. He's being lazy. His tummy's upset, I think. I think he's got a little tummy ache. We'll have to get him some Pepto. Upset stomach diarrhea. All right. Golf making some news here. We can't believe golf is getting in here. We're out of the PGA season. But in golf news, Pebble Beach, the famous course, Pebble Beach. I would love to play it. I would, give anything to do that. That would be really awesome. But they're going to host their first ever, not the first ever U.S. National or U.S. Open, Women's Open, U.S. Women's Open, but its first ever U.S. Women's Open in 2023. It's exciting news that we're seeing the ladies' side of things get to be a little more relevant, I think, in the golf world. And I know from a youth side of it, a lot of women are starting to play it in the high school level. I think they're finding it a fun, competitive way to do it. I worked at a country club for a little while, and the amount of high school and junior high women, young ladies playing golf was as much as, or if not more so, than the young men's side of things. So I hope the women's side of that sport keeps to grow, as far as the U.S. side goes, and I hope we see a similar trend to what we're seeing in the women's soccer realm, and that side of the sport becomes a very dominant side, especially on the world rankings and the world view. So, and then also Tiger Woods is back in the headlines, ladies and gentlemen. And no, he didn't get another DWI. He's not, frying up something or doing anything wrong or popping any pills, but he did tweet out a shot of him, a video of him hitting a long iron. He hit a really great shot, and it was, impressive to see, I guess. But Tiger, man, bud, pal, from a bro to a bro, you need to just walk away. You need to stop trying to play golf. You should never pick up a club again unless you're, just going out with some friends and hitting a casual 18 as you chug 18. So, outside of that, from a professional side of things, don't try to keep this comeback. Announce the retirement. End it. Save us all the agony of ever having to talk about you in the greatest of the greats sort of situation. You were great and probably one of the best to ever play the sport when you were on the peak and the pinnacle of your career. But outside that time frame, man, you've been living a questionable life. And I'm not going to judge you on the questionable life that you live. More power to you. You took the money you had and you had some fun with it. Good for you. But just walk away from the sport. I'm tired of having to talk about Tiger coming back. I don't want to ever have to talk about Tiger coming back again. It's not a reasonable thing to even consider. Maybe if you go on the seniors tour, but outside of that, Tiger, you need to hang it up, bud. You need to hang it up. Speaking of hanging it up, Carson Palmer should probably hang it up too. Broke his left arm on Sunday in a loss to the Rams. He'll miss the next 8 weeks. Fun quarterback to watch when he was good. Hard quarterback to watch when he was bad. But he's old. Him and Bruce Arians probably end up going down in a dumpster fire there together with that old squad. Unless Bruce can get some youth into that program, I think you're going to see, I don't want to say a full rebuild, but you're going to see some shifting of power in that organization over the offseason and over the course of the next, basically 6 months. So a shift in power, a shift in control. Hopefully we see that in the Astros game tonight, and we see the Astros bats get back on fire. And we're going to go into our first commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about the idea of what the Astros need to do in game 2 and moving forward to ultimately secure that win. You are listening to Jake from Sports Talk here on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5, 106.1, worldwide on IRLoneStar.com. We'll be right back.
Every week.
A Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's radio station with talk, music, weather, and traffic for Montgomery County. Have a question or comment about one of our shows? Want to know how to reach a host? Just contact the station at irlonestar.com or call in and leave a message at 936-647-3776. Get involved with your community with Lone Star Community Radio.
This is Rick TRC. every Monday through Friday from 3 to 7. I play today's country hits on my show, Afternoons with Lone Star. The type of music that makes you want to get off your seat, stomp your feet, sing along at the top of your lungs, and not care who hears. On Lone Star Community Radio, Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1, and as always on worldwide, irlonestar.com.
Welcome back to Jake from Sports Talk here on Lone Star Community Radio. We were talking about Tiger off the air between Dick and I, and Dick was like, "Oh, well, he might as well just join the Seniors Tour." And I was like, "Man, I don't think he could even win on the Seniors Tour. I don't even think he could finish in the top 10 throughout a season on the Seniors Tour." And Dick goes, "Well, yeah, maybe he should, go join the putt-putt league, the professional putt-putt league." And I think Tiger could do well at the putt-putt league. He's always had a pretty decent putter, but that also brings up the ongoing, I don't know if it's battle or we're starting up. We're going to do a Montgomery County putt-putt tour, and it's going to consist of one of the hosts that we have on with the morning show. His name's Skippy, and then Dick and myself, and there's.
I think he can't play golf. Is that why we decided putt-putt?
Well, that's why we decided putt-putt. He's never swung. Well, he swung a golf club once in his life, and he said he did terrible. But he said he's really good at putt-putt. He said that he would beat us at putt-putt. And so Dick and I were both like, yeah, no, Skippy, you're not beating us at putt-putt. And, there's some pretty cool putt-putt places out there. Dick and I got to go check one out. It's called Longview Greens Miniature Golf. And it's out in actual Montgomery. And if you live in the, north side of Houston, if you get a chance to go up there, that's a really, really cool Texas-themed, challenging putt-putt golf course. And Dick beat me that day, but it wasn't by a whole lot, and I wasn't on my A game.
It was by a good amount.
It wasn't by a whole lot.
It wasn't a Superman punch, but it was equivalent to the one on the mini Superman punch.
I wasn't on my A game. Your girlfriend was there, chatting me up, and I was distracted. So
she did exactly what her role was supposed to be.
Yeah, she played me well. So yeah, it was not fun. But we'll keep you updated. We'll keep you posted with that, and maybe we'll create some way you guys can follow along on my Facebook page, and we can y'all can play along with us, or heck, maybe y'all can come out and join us or whatever. We'll make maybe a night event out of it or something. Do Jake from Sports Talk out at one of these putt-putt places. So we'll have to play around with that. But all right, like I teased before we went to break, we are going to talk about the Astros. Now, before we get into anything here, my team, as most of y'all know, is the Red Sox. I grew up in the greater Houston area, but my family, history past comes from, the Massachusetts area, and that's the reason why I'm a Red Sox fan. But I've lived in Houston since I was 4 years old. I am a supporter of the Astros. It was great when the Red Sox were in the American League and the Astros were in the National League because I had an AL and an NL team. Now that they're both there, I still support the Astros, but I say that if they ever play the Red Sox, I'm first love, so going to go with the Red Sox. So with that said, I am an Astros supporter. I hope that they win this World Series. I have them losing to the Dodgers. And originally, I think on Monday, I said it was going to be in 6 games. I'm kind of changing my mind and seeing how the pitching rotation is going for the Dodgers. I think the Astros can push it to 7. The key game is going to be tonight's game. Tonight's game will be the key game. If they can get a win tonight on the road, and tonight's game on the road will be the best chance to get a win on the road. Just looking at the pitching matchup that we got going tonight will be the one that we got a chance to actually win one on the road. Now, if they win one on the road, that'll change the entire series. That'll change everything about it. And I think the Astros have a significant favorite to win the World Series at that point. Because they come home for the next 3 games and how well they've played. They're 6-0 at home on the road this playoffs. So I've got to believe that they're going to win every game here in Houston, no matter what. But how bad they've looked on the road, especially in these they've only got 1 win on the road. And that was to a Red Sox team that was so up and down all year long. And And the Astros have been great on the road throughout the regular season, but unfortunately it has not carried over in the playoffs. And historically, there's not really a home favorite, a home field advantage in the MLB playoffs. But this year, I think it's like 58-11, the home team, in favor of the home team. They just have such a strong advantage this year. And so I think that's what's going to play the ultimate factor, and that's why if the roles were reversed, if Astros had 4 home games, if they had the home field advantage, they'd have the World Series. I think that's the only thing it comes down to. Last night, looking at last night's game, Dallas Keuchel, you could not ask for a better performance out of Dallas Keuchel. He had 2 mistakes, and those 2 mistakes cost him. It was a home run, first pitch of the game. I was texting with some buddies, and I said, hey, no big deal. Get it out of the way. Shake off the nerves. Welcome to the World Series. Get it out of the way early. No big deal. He pitched wonderful out of it after that. He was in the zone on a very hot night in Southern California. Pitched wonderful. Wonderful game. But when you look at it and you go at it from a outsider's view, having to go against Kershaw, you have to be perfect. And unfortunately, and even Kershaw wasn't perfect. He had some mistakes that the Astros just didn't capitalize on on the offensive side. Outside of Bregman's 1 home run, the other, I don't know, probably 7 mistakes that Kershaw pitched, the Astros didn't take advantage of. And to be honest, neither did the Dodgers offense. The bats of the Dodgers, who have been, very hot in this playoffs. I mean, Puig went 0 for 4 yesterday. So, it wasn't that they weren't capitalizing on the mistakes either. I think everybody was looking at that, and it was kind of that first game jitters, sort of situation. And the bats just weren't quite there for either of those teams. But Turner, with the 2-run shot, and he's been the difference for him all playoffs long. If you silence his bat, you have a chance against him. But it's going to take perfection when you're pitching against Kershaw. And so that's why I want to propose the idea of reevaluating and re-looking at the entire situation from a manager's position. Why would I throw Keuchel in last night's game? Why not put out McHughes, Peacock, McCullers? Somebody that, hey, look, if they lose the game, that's okay. We're not banking on them for a win. All right? We would hope the best for it. And I mean, look at how Peacock pitched out of the bullpen. Lance has been on fire throughout these playoffs. He's pitched well. Why not throw him and say, do the best you can, give us a chance to win. That's all we want against Kershaw. But you're not going to go into it expecting to beat Kershaw. You can't. I mean, you look at how well he's pitched this entire play, and I guarantee you tonight, and I guarantee you tonight, look at how the Dodgers are matching up against, oh my gosh, Verlander. Look how the Dodgers are matching up. They're not throwing you Darvish. You want to know why? Because they don't think that they can beat Verlander with how well he's pitching this offseason. I don't know that for a fact, but the way I'm viewing it and the way I'm saying, okay, look, they're probably thinking they can't beat Verlander. Not with how well he's been pitching. And so therefore, we're not going to pitch Yu Darvish. And we're going to have Yu Darvish go in game 3. Even though he's been their number 2 pitcher in the playoffs, they're going to have him go game 3. So that way they don't have to, they're not expecting to win it. So why would they pitch their number 2 pitcher against what is probably our number 1 pitcher? So that's all I'm saying. So maybe Hinch reevaluates the situation and says, yeah, hey, look, we're going to throw Lance McCullers in game 1. If he gives us a great game and we win it, awesome. Awesome. But if he doesn't, oh well. Guess who we got going night 2? Keuchel. Guess who we got going night 3? Verlander. Now we're up 2-1. We get a road win there. So that's my point. I understand that you want to have the availability of game 7 for whoever's pitching game 3, and that limits it. But if you look at the rotation and how everything works, if Keuchel pitches game 2, he can still go game 5. If Verlander pitches game 3, he can still go game 7 or 6. And same with Keuchel. He can still go game 6 or 5 or 7. It doesn't matter. Wherever you want to put him in those last 3 games with the rest and how everything works, Whoever pitches game 2 will be available for game 5, available for game 6. Same with game 3. Whoever pitches game 3 will be available for 6 and 7. So I'm not questioning what Hinch did. Keuchel pitched wonderful. It wasn't a bad idea necessarily, but I don't want to say that you necessarily have to wave the white flag against Kershaw, because you've got other good pitching options that have been there for you all year long, that have been so reliable all year long, that you could have thrown and given your team a fighting chance against Kershaw. But you don't necessarily throw out your number one, and you let Kershaw have the easier path to a victory, so that way you have an easier path to a victory in game 2 and game 3, and potentially even game 4. Because you got to look at it, when Yu Darvish goes and pitches against, another reason why they may not be pitching you tonight is because Astros have experience against them, and Astros hit Darvish very well. And so, hey, look, we'll throw him out to slaughter. Not to slaughter necessarily, it's kind of a harsh way to put it, but we'll throw him out to slaughter in game 3. And Astros are going to be at home. They play really well at home. If we lose that game, it's okay. It's not something that we're necessarily expecting to win. But we don't want to throw him against Verlander in game 2, so that way we've got a fighting chance in game 3. It's a finicky sport, and it's a finicky way to play it all. But, man, I in my personal opinion, I'm throwing McCullers in game 1. And I'm doing Verlander in 2, Keuchel in 3. That's my first 3 game order, and then we reevaluate at that point, and we go from there. So there we go. There's my spiel on the managing abilities of AJ Hinch and the World Series. Like I said, I got Dodgers in 7. So, and hey guys, if it comes out Astros win this, and you want to go pull up the archived version of this and shove it in my face, I'll tell you what, you can go get that archived version from iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. Just search Jake from Sports Talk, and you'll find it. Look up the date, 10/25. Call me out on it, all right? Keep me honest, keep me straight. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But you're listening to Jake from Sports Talk here on 104.5, 106.1, worldwide on irlonestar.com. We are going to talk about some football when we come back, and the biggest threat to the NFL and the ratings. And a little sneak, it's not a knee. We'll be back.
Listen in Mondays at noon to hear Conroe news from local nonprofits, businesses, upcoming events, Conroe Park events, news stories, and information that matters to you with your host, Margie Taylor of Taylorized PR. For more information about being a guest, visit irlonestar.com/Conroe Culture.
Don't forget to download the Lone Star Community Radio app for your Google Play or Apple Store. Bring Montgomery County's community radio with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM. That is Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1.
Welcome back to Jake from Sports Talk. Glad to have you guys in on another beautiful Wednesday. It is gorgeous outside here in Texas. If you are living elsewhere and you're going through not such beautiful weather, I feel sorry for you. If you're going through some cold stuff up north, man, come defrost down here. Our winters are great. We never get below 32. It's wonderful. And even our 32 doesn't even feel like 32. It's nice. It's not a lot of wind to go with it. The humidity keeps it a little warmer, at least feeling wise. So, yeah, come join us. It's beautiful. What's the high today? Like 82? Not even that, maybe 80? Oh, it's great. I want to go golf. Oh, I tried out the indoor golf place. Did I tell you about it? I haven't told you about it? Oh, man. Little shout out. There's this place called Swing Zone in Tomball, Texas, and it's about 20 minutes away from the studio. And it's going down towards Houston. If you don't know where Tomball is, it's off of Kirkendall and 99. But they brought the Korean and Japanese style indoor golf. There's a lot of a lack of real estate over there in the Asian countries, in those small Asian countries. And so the big thing is they build these indoor golf courses, and it's all simulated golf, and you hit into a screen, and it sounds really odd, like, there's no way it can be like real golf, and it's not. by no means does it actually ever replace the real thing, but it was pretty close between the floor moving and adjusting. Yeah, the floor moves. So like they got it on this hydraulic system. So if your ball is in an uphill lie, the floor adjusts to where you're standing in an uphill lie, and you have to hit it as though you're, hitting from an uphill lie. They bring it as close as they possibly can. The putting could use some work. It was not the best putting simulation because it was so hard to get the feel down for it. But it was really cool. It was a cool place. It would be a good place to go and do like a guys' night out sort of situation. They got some TVs. You can watch the game, drink some beer. Their menu price was actually, and their beer prices were actually really good too, competitive. So it was a cool place, worth checking out. But all right, let's get on to NFL talk. We got to make this a quick one. I went really long in that first segment, so the next two segments going to be pretty short, and that's fine. We don't got too many important things to talk about at least. But the NFL is seeing some ratings issues, and we look at like last night's World Series game got a 10.2 in television ratings, which is down from last year's. I think 15.6 was the average over the entirety of the 7 games from last year's World Series. But last year was kind of an anomaly due to the fact that the Cubs and the Indians, both who have never or had a long streak of no championships, and the Cubs have a huge fan base, the Indians have a strong fan base and everything like that. So that was a little bit of an anomaly, and everybody, even in the country, was kind of following it and everything like that. So this year's numbers are going to be more like what we've seen from 2015 back to like 2012, which is average right around 10.2, 10.5, right around that range, which is a good rating for anything in the double digits is good for baseball purposes. You look at like an average Astros game on Roots Sports Network, which I think is now AT&T, they pull in probably like a 2.3 during the regular season for games. And so, 10.2 is really good. But you look at the NFL probably on average brings in around, and I've looked up numbers, but I don't know the average of what they brought in over the entirety of regular season games for like the last 6 years. But based on the numbers I saw, everything was around a 6 to 8, and that's pretty average. The Super Bowl brings in like 18, 19s. I think the lowest one was it was 3 years ago, and it was like a 14 point something, and that was kind of like, oh my God, the NFL is going to die, and it kind of is. And so we're seeing these ratings go from a 6 to 8 average, 6 to 8 average down to probably what I've seen so far this year, probably a 5 to 7. So we're about a total of a point down, which isn't like, oh well, 1 point, that's not a whole lot. It's quite a bit. To drop a whole point is huge, and this is averaging out over, watching the Jets and Browns game as well. Like that's bringing the average down because that was at a 3, whatever. But the problem is not necessarily that we're seeing, and I know everybody wants to say, oh, it's the kneeling. Oh, it's the kneeling. Oh, it's the kneel. I don't, that may have something to do with it. In your ultra conservative environments and locations like the Houston, Texas area, as a very strong, in the greater metropolitan area, a very strong Republican, demographic. And so you're seeing portions of that bring down the ratings. But I think the biggest problem is that everybody is starting to devote their Saturdays to football rather than their Sundays. The product that they're seeing on the field on Sunday is lessened, is much worse than what we're used to. It's not a very good product that's being placed on the field. And in turn, on Saturdays, we're seeing exciting games like Notre Dame USC, Michigan, Penn State. And now you're like, Jake, hey, man, those 2 games were terrible. They were blowouts. No, they weren't terrible. Yeah, they may have not been competitive, but to watch Penn State and how dominant they looked against Michigan, against a Harbaugh defense where, yeah, the Michigan offense has been getting creamed all year because they're not very good, but the Michigan defense is good. That's a good run-stopping defense, and yet Penn State ran all the first play or the third rush of the game. I mean, he went for 62 yards, I think, for a touchdown. It was exciting football to see the Irish back in their dominant ways of old. Looked like Lou back out there coaching that team. I mean, that was a fun game to watch. It was great to see the dominance of those teams. It was awesome to see how dominant Georgia was, how consistent Alabama is. Even the Mark Richt of Miami, and hey, is this really the team of destiny? Are they really going to pull out and eke out these wins week in and week out? There's storylines. There's things that draw you to these games and make you want to watch. And even down to the pregame show with Lee Corso throwing on helmets and saying swear words on the air. Like, that's the greatest thing about that show, That old man is awesome. And so all this is drawing in the fans of football. And a lot of these fans are consuming so much football on Saturdays that when it comes down to Sunday, they don't necessarily want to sit and spend a whole Sunday watching this, kind of depleted version of the NFL. This deflated football of football, if that makes any sense. I was trying to be funny there. I tried to make a Deflategate pun in there, and it just didn't work very well. I'm sorry, listeners. But you get my point. Like, I don't think the product that we're seeing, I think, is just as much of a factor as the kneeling is. And the fact that people don't want to watch, the garbage that they're seeing on Sunday, and rather would watch, the excitement. And by no means is the college level a better version of football than the NFL version. But it's normally what it is. Normally what it is that you get the amateur pure passion of football on Sunday and the professional, just precision, awesomely sculpted football on Sunday from the NFL. And we're not getting that. And that's the problem. So we're not getting our full fix of football, and therefore I think people are churning and sticking with, hey, we know what we love, and that's that passion on Saturday. But we're not getting the perfection on Sunday. And so we're not going to watch that perfection. And then in addition, to throw on top of it, we got this whole kneeling and the politics that come into it. It's making people sick and disgusted of the NFL, but you can't just sit back and say, Jerry Jones, case in point, Jerry Jones came out and said this kneeling is the sole factor of why our ratings are hurting. And I disagree completely. So I'm getting the wrap up here. We got to go to a break, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to give you some parenting life skills. Stay tuned to 104.5, 106.1, worldwide on IRLoneStar.com. You're listening to Jake from Sports Talk. Woo!
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show. With monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on IRLoneStar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at IRLoneStar.com or call the message line at 936-647-3776 to take your first step into the radio world.
Hey, Montgomery County, it's me, C.C. Holmes. And I would personally like to take this time to invite you, that's right, you, to join me every Saturday and Sunday from 3 until 7 p.m., where I will bring you the very best of smooth jazz, classic jazz, and indeed, yes, the soulful sounds of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So come along and get jazzy with me. That's right, jazzy. Right here, of course, on Conroe's 104.5 and 106.1 FM, or worldwide at IRLoneStar.com.
Welcome back to Jake from Sports Talk. You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on IRLoneStar.com. And on 104. Oh, that was a quick out on the music there. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, ooh, ooh. And 104.5, 106.1. Don't forget to like the show's Facebook page, Jake from Sports Talk. Subscribe and follow all the other social media outlets as well. Check out the podcast version on Google Play and iTunes, and the video replay version on YouTube. Just search Jake from Sports Talk, as well as watch channel our City TV, Channel 12 on Suddenlink. If you have another provider and you get the channel, I do not know the channel, I apologize. Ask your local provider. They can probably give you a better answer of what our City TV is for your cable box. Anything else on that line? No, I think that's everything. Yeah, I got to keep the boss happy, especially on a day where he's not feeling well and he's very, very cranky today. And he's trying to get some plans together for the weekend, and it's just not working out. And he's taking it out on me, so he beats me, but it's okay. It's okay. I still love him. All right, let's get into our last topic. As I said, he's shaking his head at me. He loves me, and he knows it. As I said, I'm going to give you some advice on parenting. And up at the beginning of the show, I said, oh, well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you something that with conviction, that I have no experience in. But at the same time, even though many of you have experience and are probably going through this struggle right now, you guys have kids. I'm assuming most of you have kids. If you do not have a child, then you probably won't. You're in the same boat as me then. And our mindsets are probably different. For those who don't have kids, the mindset on this story is going to be probably drastically different than the mindset of somebody who has a child. And we're seeing I think we're kind of seeing that play out with a lot of these sports analysts that are talking about this specific story with the Ball family. Lonzo Ball plays for the Lakers. They're 4 games in. He actually plays game 5 tonight against the Wizards and John Wall and everything like that. Well, the storyline going on behind that is the impact of LeVar Ball and everything his father has done for him, whether positive or negative, is the discussion. LeVar Ball has built this empire for his children. Not just Lonzo, who is currently in the NBA in his rookie season. He's having a fine start. Nothing special, but nothing terrible either. Also, he's got 2 sons he just pulled out of school so he can homeschool them and train them and teach them himself, making sure that their full time and dedication is spent on school and basketball. Those are his words, not mine. I think I believe he's going to focus more on the basketball side of things rather than the school side of things. But hey, if he wants to, he wants to speak out about the fact that, hey, this is not just for the basketball purposes, but also for the schooling purposes, and making sure that his children's time is rightly dedicated and devoted to certain areas that they need to be focused on. He's building these empires for them as well. He's getting them scholarships to UCLA. He's promoting them and putting them in the right locations, with the right trainers, with the right scouts, making sure that the topics of conversation is his children, and that people in schools and scouts and NBA execs are talking about his children. Now, the sports media world brings it on into a LeVar Ball topic, and it's LeVar Ball before Lonzo Ball, or the 2 other children as well. And a lot of these, media personalities, sports personalities, believe that LeVar Ball is creating this dangerous environment for his child in the NBA. Bradley Beal, night 1 against Lonzo Ball, went out and just destroyed him on the floor. Kept him to, minimal points, minimal stats all around. And after the game, he was asked, what was going on tonight? Like, Beal looked like a freak on that floor. Like we've never seen Bradley Beal play. And he said, look, I was going against Lonzo Ball, and I wanted to make sure that he knew this was the NBA and not the Lonzo Ball League. And I wanted to make it evident and clear right away that, he hasn't done anything. And as long as I'm facing him, I'm going to make sure that, he doesn't do anything. And this broke out as a huge story because, this is all LeVar Ball's doing. He's put a target on his child's back, and now the entire league's going to gun for him. And you've had other players come out and say, I got nothing personally against Lonzo, but I'm going to make sure that, he doesn't beat me. That sort of situation. And everybody's criticizing the fact that, this is just bad parenting, and he put too much, spotlight on his child. And LeVar's Ball, before I give my opinion, LeVar Ball's response to all of this criticism and to all this is, look, I've put my child into a situation where, and through situations as he grew up, where it was, you're either going to be the best of the best or you're going to get run out of that league. Facing this type of competition night in and night out with guys trying their hardest and their very best against you, you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to crumble and be chewed out of the league, or you're going to get better from it and rise to become a truly great player like he thinks his son can become. And I kind of agree with this. I agree with this situation. And I have, again, I have no children. And so I have no real parenting skills or background to speak of. But if I want my child to be the best of the best at something, I'm going to push them to be the best of the best. Now, I would probably personally go about it differently than the way LeVar has gone about it. But nonetheless, I'm still going to push my child to be the best of the best. My parents pushed me to do whatever I wanted to do, but do it at my fullest, at the best of my abilities. And because of that, I was a successful athlete at the level at which I could succeed at. Now, I was never going to be successful at the college level because I'm not built for that. But I am the little man over here. So I was built, or I was pushed to do the best that I could as long as I was playing. And my parents never were the mouthpiece for my success, but that's also partially because I was my own mouthpiece. And so I can't say that I disapprove of what he's doing. And I don't think that these radio personalities, these Michael Wilbons, these, I'm blanking on all the names that have Colin Cowherd, everybody. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's from ESPN or Fox or Sirius XM. They're all talking about how much of a terrible parent LeVar Ball is. And I don't think anybody has the right to really say that. When his kids have come out and said, that's just dad being dad and we love dad. And it sounds legitimate, if they truly love their dad and they don't really mind what he does, they don't mind him being the vocal piece for them and their future and their career, then that's fine. And it's not Jeannie Buss's, or Magic Johnson's place to tell LeVar to shut up. It's not. If anybody's going to tell him, it's not going to be a media personality. No, it's going to be Lonzo. Lonzo has to be the one to stand up and say, hey, Dad, shut the bleep up, man. I don't want you talking about this anymore. So, all right, we're getting wrapped up here, and I was getting on my little soapbox. And if you got a child out there, or if you are a child, tell your parent or tell your child that you love them. Give them a hug and a kiss, and tell them that they should listen to Jake from Sports Talk. We'll be back next Wednesday, as always, from 1 to 2 p.m. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope to see you back. And don't forget, if you want to re-listen to this, share this, or if you want to just constantly put it on a loop, listen to Jake from Sports Talk on YouTube, Google Play, and iTunes. All right, guys, we'll see you next Wednesday. Later!
Trick or treat, Lone Star Radio listeners. This is Dick, the general manager, taking this quick moment to remind you that Lone Star Community Radio is looking to fill some of our talk show slots along with some of our DJ slots. We have a new show airing on the 10th, Making Connections with Stacey Harris, which will air every second Tuesday of the month at 1 p.m. Make sure to check it out along with our other programs on Lone Star Community Radio. For more information on Lone Star Community Radio, visit us online at irlonestar.com. And again, if you're interested in doing something with us, call the station, 936-647-3776. Thanks for checking out this recording, and I hope you guys enjoy.